So hello everyone, welcome to Bajirao IAS Academy. So in this session we will be discussing the previous year questions that were asked by UPSC in 2022 examination. So in this session we will be discussing General Studies question paper 3. So this question paper is related to Indian economy, agriculture, infrastructure and economy, ecology, science and technology, and internal security. So we will be understanding how we can structure the questions, how we can get best marks in each of these answers, how to write introduction, conclusion, and the structure of the answer, so that the overall objective of the program is to make sure that you will get good marks in each of your general studies mains papers. So the first question that we are going to discuss here today is about the public-private partnership. Public-private partnership is required in infrastructure projects. So why the PPP required in infrastructure projects, particularly the large infrastructure development projects in India? The second part of the question is role of public-private partnership model in the redevelopment of railway stations in India. So what exactly is the role of PPP model in the redevelopment of railway stations in India? So we all know that railways are one of the key mode of transportation in India, whether it is the transport of freight or passenger. So in this context, how can the PPP mode can be an alternative way of infrastructure development in railways? Now, firstly, you need to understand what exactly is the public-private partnership. Now, public-private partnership actually a collaboration, a partnership between the government and the private enterprise. So both the government and the private enterprises collaborate, a partner in a particular or a specific infrastructure projects, especially the large infrastructure projects. Okay, so that the private partner usually contribute in terms of providing finance, plan, execution, technology, and even the managerial expertise and support. Okay, so these all factors are included in the public-private partnership. So this is the basic definition of public-private partnership. Now after that, we need to understand the basic benefits or the key benefits of the public-private partnership. Now firstly, you have to briefly define what does exactly public-private partnership means in the body part of the answer. So you can also draw this diagram, okay, so that your presentation of the answer would be better. So you can write all the key benefits of the public-private partnership. So these are the key benefits of public-private partnership. So firstly, one of the most important benefit that we have to understand with the public-private partnership is it consumes very less time. The efficiency in terms of execution of these projects would be better, and it also improves the overall monitoring of the projects. Okay, regular tracking and monitoring of these projects will help ensure that the projects will be completed on time. Secondly, first in this point you have to understand when projects are completed on time, they significantly reduce the project cost. Significantly reduce the project cost. And second point is, infrastructure development, particularly a country like India, is very important. So therefore the government has been focusing on rapid infrastructure development. According to an estimate, around 1 lakh crore required for the investment creation in India. So therefore the government has in fact launched several programs like National Land Monetization Program, National Infrastructure Pipeline. So those programs in a way develop infrastructure in India. So therefore the PPP mode can be used for the development of infrastructure in a country like India. Okay, so private sector very often known for bringing in technology, okay, and expertise and skilled human resources. So therefore when the government has been collaborating with the private sector, particularly for the development of these infrastructure projects, that particularly increases technical and technological cooperation. And after that, provision of services and reducing the services cost is also very important for the success of any infrastructure project. Now PPP mode will further provide those services at an affordable cost to the eligible beneficiaries or the consumers. Okay, so after that we need to talk about the cooperative growth model. Cooperative growth model usually involves not just the monopoly of the government sector or the monopoly of the private sector. Now cooperative model generally involves that there is a private sector integration. Okay, so integration of the private sector with the government participants, so that the best of any infrastructure project projects can be brought into. And after that, if there is any risk that is being involved with one particular project, so those risks and rewards can be equally shared between the public and the private sectors. So that is also in a way reduces the financial costs on the public sector. And after that we need to talk about the lessening costs of any infrastructure project. For example, if government is focused on developing infrastructure and government has taken up the infrastructure project on its own, so that significantly divert the public funds for the development of infrastructure. So however, what about the social welfare expenditure? Okay, the government must compromise the social welfare expenditure if government substantially financing all its finances on the infrastructure development. So therefore, in this context, when private sector actively participates in these kind of projects, in a way that brings a kind of a sustainability in terms of financing these infrastructure projects. And the least we have to talk about the creativity and innovation that is brought in by the private sector. So because the private sector has the the research staff, any project they have taken up, the profit motive they keep in mind, and they also focus on reducing the cost and execution of the project in an efficient manner. So therefore it promote innovation and creativity as well in the execution of the projects. So therefore these are some of the key benefits of public private partnerships. Now after that, in the body part of the answers, so we have discussed the key benefits of the public private partnership. Now the public private partnership model in the redevelopment of railway stations. So how we can use this model in the redevelopment of railway stations. Now railways will be playing one of the most important role in India's overall transportation sector. So because we significantly dependent on roadways. Okay, so our railways are still not able to cater to the demand of our domestic economy and freight requirements. Okay, so for example, when we experience the coal shortages, these coal shortages, one of the main reason is lack of rakes. Okay, railway freight availability is lacking. So in this context, so how we can modernize or redevelop the railway stations using the public-private partnerships. So India is one of the largest rail systems in the world. Okay, so it is under the single management, but it is one of the largest rail systems in the world after US, China, and even Russia. So in this context, PPP model can be a sustainable model for the redevelopment of railway stations in India. So how? So improved investments through public-private partnership, we can substantially improve the investments. For example, Indian Railway Stations Development Corporation has been created in the year 2012. Okay, so what is the main responsibility of the Indian Railway Stations Development Corporation? So it is created as a special purpose vehicle for the development or redevelopment of the railway stations across the country. Okay, so however, the Indian Railway Stations Development Authority has been developing railway stations through the public-private partnership. Secondly, maximization of the existing land use. Now if you look at Indian Railways, it is one of the largest land holders in the world. Okay, so the total land with the Indian Railways is around 4.77 lakh hectares. So therefore it is one of the largest custodians of the government land. So the overall objective is the efficient usage of existing land. So the Railway Land Development Authority was also created, and this Railway Land Development Authority has adopted the private equity model for developing and creating employment opportunities. Okay, so After that, we need to talk about the railway modernization as well. Now, railway modernization is also very important to ensure safety and security of the railways, and further enhancing the efficiency and trust on the railways. So therefore, railway modernization is one of the significant aspect. So if you look at railway modernization, Gandhinagar, it was a redeveloped railway station. It has an airport like facilities. Now the government has been redesigning and redeveloping railway stations and providing airport like infrastructure facilities in those railway stations. Okay, so Gandhinagar is one such example of providing state-of-the-art facilities and infrastructure in a railway station. So the government has also aimed to develop all these railway stations with a state-of-the-art infrastructure facilities over a period of next 5 to 10 years. So after that, we have to look at the railway stations as the centers of economic activity as well. For example, the government has launched National Infrastructure Pipeline. So what is the objective of National Infrastructure Pipeline? So through this program or the initiative, the government has been planning to develop or revamp the infrastructure in the country. So therefore, it envisages Indian Railways worth of 11.43 lakh crore till 2024 and 25. So if we talk about Indian Railways, there was a committee that was appointed. A committee name is Bibek Debroy Committee. So this Bibek Debroy Committee has been appointed to look into this, and this committee has projected rebuilding of Indian Railways. Okay, so the Bibek Debroy Committee has projected rebuilding Indian Railways, and it has urged the private sector investment and establishment of a free controller. Okay, so there should be a free control, and the controller should promote competition between the different stakeholders, so that there will be a facilitation and greater attraction of more and more private investment into the redevelopment of railway stations. However, you have to write a way forward as well. Now, way forward should include the recommendations of any committee that is given suggestions or the recommendations in this regard. Here there was a committee called Vijay Kelkar Committee, and Vijay Kelkar Committee has come up with a report on revisiting and revitalizing the public-private partnership mode. However, this Vijay Kelkar Committee has proposed certain reforms. So what are the reforms that were suggested by Vijay Kelkar Committee? Now, so firstly, a PPP law, public-private partnership law, should be framed. Okay, so therefore it gives the authoritative framework for the implementation or implementing the executives. Okay, so it emphasized on creation of a PPP law. So the second point is infrastructure PPP project review committee should be launched or initiated. So therefore it can evaluate the stressed public-private partnership projects. So the third model is Swiss challenge model. Now, Swiss challenge model is generally a model of infrastructure development. Okay, so this generally involves that there were some unsolicited proposals for the development of infrastructure. So in Swiss challenge model, these unsolicited proposals are challenged by the third party proposals. So they challenge the unsolicited proposals. So therefore, the unsolicited proposal is also called as the original proposal, and this original proposal will come up with a more competitive bid. Okay, more competitive bid for the execution of the project. So this is the Swiss challenge model. Now you have written a way forward, and in the conclusion you just have to emphasize on the development of railway infrastructure, railway stations through PPP model. Now, Indian Railways is just an example of realizing the benefits under the PPP in order to accelerate the infrastructure development. So therefore, in this respect, fostering innovation and incorporating the learning from across the world will be the key in unlocking the plethora of benefits. So therefore, it will help in realizing or achieving the $5 trillion economy goal by 2024. Okay, so in conclusion, you have seen that how we have linked the development of railway infrastructure with the dream of $5 trillion economy. Okay, so the next question that we are going to discuss is about the inclusive growth. Now, in fact, inclusive growth is directly asked in the syllabus of Gender Studies paper 3. Okay, Gender Studies paper 3, inclusive growth has been directly given, or it is directly asked. So therefore, it is very important that you carefully look at the syllabus of the UPSC, and those syllabus you should have at least a short note of those syllabus. Okay, so therefore you would be able to write better answers, because UPSC will never ask questions outside its syllabus. So therefore, when you have a syllabus and when you have a decent content on each topic that is mentioned in the syllabus, you would be able to write a better answer. So the question here, it is about inclusive growth possible under the market economy. Now, what is a market economy? Market economy generally runs on based on the market forces, demand and supply, etc. So therefore, inclusive growth, can we expect inclusive growth under market economy? This is the first part of the question. And the second part of the question is, state the significance of financial inclusion in achieving economic growth in India. Okay, so what is the significance, or what is the importance of financial inclusion in achieving economic growth in a country like India? Now, in this question, firstly you need to understand what exactly is inclusive growth, and then we will understand the market economy. So firstly, inclusive growth is generally, so this is the basic definition of inclusive growth. So the benefits of the economic growth should be distributed equally across all the sections of the society, and that is the basic definition of inclusive growth. So if you can see this highlighted section, so it is generally refers to the economic growth that actually benefits all the sections of the society. Okay, so this is the basic definition of inclusive growth. So therefore, the inclusive growth generally emphasizes on the equal distribution of the existing resources and opportunities as well, and that is the essence of inclusive growth. So in a country like India, so inclusive growth is very important. Okay, so the second part of the question, we are talking about the market economy. What exactly is the market economy? Now, market economy, which is primarily driven by the market forces. Okay, market forces like demand, supply, buyer, seller, everything. So therefore, it may not always ensure an economic growth. So we cannot in conformity says that market economy ensures the inclusive growth. However, inclusive growth is possible under the market economy if we can adopt certain measures. If we can adopt certain measures, that even in the market economy as well, we can achieve the inclusive growth. So the first part of the question is the possibility of inclusive growth under the market economy. So what exactly is the possibility of inclusive growth in the market economy? So as we have already discussed that in the market economy, in order to achieve the inclusive growth, certain conditions have to be met. So what are those conditions? Firstly, we need to talk about the competition aspect. Okay, so there is a need to promote competition between different players. So when we are able to promote competition between different players, there will not be any monopoly. There will not be any monopoly in the existing industries. So therefore, it ensures that the products will be available for the consumers at an affordable price. And that is the one way of ensuring or achieving inclusive growth in the market economy. Secondly, we need to talk about the access to credit aspect. Now, access to credit is very important even in the market economy. Since people do not have access to credit, they may not be able to invest. They may not be able to become new entrepreneurs. They may not be able to start a new startup. Okay, so since they excessively depend on local money lenders or unorganized ways of lending, since they usually comes up with a higher interest rate. Okay, so therefore in this context, access to credit is essential for starting a small business for low income households, so that they can invest in new businesses and they can also improve their existing economic conditions. Now, after that, we need to talk about the efficient public service delivery aspect also. Now, efficient public services is also very important for achieving the inclusive growth. Now, efficient public services in the sense that providing a basic education, health care, and even providing basic social welfare schemes, social justice. So everything comes under the efficient public service delivery. So therefore it is very essential that everyone will get equal opportunity to succeed. So after that, the policies in promoting social justice. Now the government is launching various programs to promote social justice. For example, providing pensions to the old age, providing pensions to the disabled people. So these are the part of social justice. Even reservation is also part of the social justice aspect. So therefore policies which particularly promote social justice, such as progressive taxation. Now what is a progressive taxation? What does the progressive taxation means? So it generally involves that if an individual has been earning higher amounts of income, then he would be taxed at a higher rate. So this is the progressive income. And other social welfare programs. So these aspects reduces income inequalities. Okay, so not just reduces income inequalities, but they also help in distribution of resources equally across the all sections of the society, and that is the essence of inclusive growth. Okay, now the second part of the question that is asking how significant is the financial inclusion for achieving economic growth in India. Now what is a financial inclusion? Financial inclusion is generally providing access to the financial services for the poor and underprivileged sections of the society, people who are otherwise unbanked. Okay, so the financial inclusion basically refers to provision of financial services to low income households and the small businesses. So earlier they lack access to the financial services. Now access to financial services has been given by the government. So therefore this is the basic definition of financial inclusion. So therefore the financial inclusion aspect is actually essential component of inclusive growth in India. Okay, so the significance of financial inclusion in achieving economic growth in India can be explained through the following points. So firstly, we need to talk about the savings aspect. Okay, so when we encourage savings, that results in a multiplier effect in the economy. So more savings means that more savings economy means that more investment and more credit formation. So that ultimately benefit the individuals and the economy as well. So therefore financial inclusion usually encourage the low income households to save. Okay, so it encourages the low income households to save, which can be further used to invest in businesses and improve their overall economic conditions. Now after that, we need to talk about the access to credit aspect. So through financial inclusion, now people who are earlier do not have access to credit will get access to the institutional credit, and that is very important because now they will be able to invest in agriculture and they will be able to invest this amount in small businesses. Especially when we talk about self-help groups, they usually start small units for manufacturing. So therefore it ultimately benefits them. Financial inclusion usually provides access to credit to small businesses, so which can further help them grow and contribute to the economic growth in an economy. The secondly, we need to talk about the entrepreneurship aspect. Now what is the essence of entrepreneurship? For example, people having skills, relevant skills, people having access to credit, all these aspects comes under the entrepreneurship. So therefore financial inclusion promotes entrepreneurship by providing them access to credit and other financial services to the aspiring entrepreneurs. And it will also reduce the poverty aspect as well. Now poverty is one of the most pressing challenge that India has been facing. Now around even though we have made rapid progress in alleviating poverty, still we have around 21% of our population below poverty line. So therefore financial inclusion will help them provide financial services, institutional credit facilities, savings, insurance, etc., so that the low income groups the low income groups can come out of the poverty. Okay, so therefore overall it will help them improve their living standards, livelihood conditions, and the economic conditions, and it will also provide new opportunities for these low income groups. Now when you write conclusion for this answer, in conclusion you have to summarize the entire answer. So summarizing entire answer means that inclusive growth is possible under market economy. So we have discussed how inclusive growth is possible under the market economy. So if we have certain conditions that could ensure inclusive growth in a market economy. So what are those conditions? Those conditions are competition, access to credit, efficient public services delivery, policies promoting social justice. So all these things comes under the conditions that are necessary in the market economy that facilitate inclusive growth. So therefore financial inclusion is essential component of inclusive growth in India, because it encourages savings and provides access to institutional credit and promotes entrepreneurship, small businesses, and even reduces the poverty. So therefore, in order to achieve the inclusive growth, it is very important that we have to promote financial inclusion, and we need to implement various policies, social welfare programs, and social justice, and providing equal opportunities to all the sections of the society, and that is the essence of inclusive growth. Okay, so this is all about this question, and the next question is about the public distribution system. It is about the public distribution system. So we all know about the public distribution system. Now, public distribution system is very famous in India, and through public distribution system, subsidized food grains are provided to the eligible beneficiaries across India. So therefore it is one of the most important tool for alleviating poverty, hunger, and even malnutrition, providing adequate food security to all the poor, populations in India. So in this context, the question has been asking us that what are the major challenges in the public distribution system. Okay, so the first part of the question, so what are the major challenges in the public distribution system in India, and second part of the question is how can it be made effective and transparent. So this is the second part of the question. So how can we make the public distribution system more effective and more transparent? So this question has two parts. Now in the first part, you just have to write about the food public distribution system. What exactly is the public distribution system? See, I have already told you that through public distribution system, food security of India's poor will be ensured. Okay, so it is one of the largest program, and that has been ensuring adequate food security for the poor. So through the public distribution system, around 60% of India's population are covered, and the total cost of the public distribution system is around 1.45 trillion rupees. Okay, so 1.45 trillion rupees, and in terms of value, the 1.45 trillion is equivalent to 1.4% of India's total national income. Okay, so these are some of the statistics related to the public distribution system. Now, the public distribution system is also called with the name as public rationing system. It is under the aegis of Ministry of Consumer Affairs, Food and Public Distribution System. Now in this context, please understand the overall chain of public distribution system, how food grains are procured, distributed, and being provided for the low income groups. So firstly, farmers will cultivate various food crops, and from the farmers, the center will procure the food grains. Center will procure the food grains under the minimum support prices. So we very often hear about the minimum support prices. So center gives minimum support prices to farmers, and then in turn procure the food grains, and then the center through the Food Corporation of India, procured food grains will be stored, and these food grains will be allocated to the respective state governments under the central issue price. So central issue price is also a subsidized price. So through central issue price, the central government will provide food grains to the respective state governments. So this is the third step. Now after the allocation of food grains to state governments will distribute these food grains to the respective food price shops. the respective fair price shops, that is the public distribution system. So from the fair price shops, the sale of grains will take place to the respective beneficiary. So this is overall supply chain of the public distribution system. Right. So next we need to talk about the major challenges. So this is a key part of the question. So this is the first part of the question. So there are certain challenges that the public distribution system has been facing. Now what are the major challenges that the PDS system is in India has been facing? The first challenge is identification of beneficiaries is one of the most crucial challenge, because the responsibility to identify the beneficiaries is given to the state governments. Okay, so when it is given to the state governments, because of lack of efficiency at the local level to identify the eligible beneficiaries, and even the poor functioning of Gram Sabhas under the 73rd Constitutional Amendment Act. So there are a lot of inclusion and exclusion errors when it comes to the identification of beneficiaries. So secondly, production versus procurement mismatches have been taking place. For example, the National Food Security Act has mandated delivery of food grains to all the eligible beneficiaries or people who are below poverty line. Okay, so under the National Food Security Act, the center has been procuring the millions of food grains, and then these food grains will be supplied to the eligible beneficiaries. However, when it comes to the procurement of this quantity of food grains, it may be easier in years when production is high. But what about in the years when there is a drought, when there is a lesser rainfall, lesser production due to pest attack or frost, any of such instance? So therefore, when we are not able to procure adequate food grains, we are usually resorting to import of those food grains. Okay, so not just rice, but also we are importing rice and wheat in a large scale. So therefore that further increases the cost. Okay, so now the center has been spending around 2.2 lakh crore on food security on procurement. So when the government resort to importing of food grains, that would significantly increase the food procurement costs. So third, we need to talk about the rising food subsidy. So earlier, if you look at the trends, 2002 and 2003, the center used to spend around 21,200 crore only. But this number has substantially or significantly increased to 2.2 lakh crore in 2019 and 20. Okay, so this number has significantly increased. So after that, we need to talk about the imbalances in the availability of storage capacity across the different states. So across different states, there has been a huge imbalances in the availability of storage capacity. For example, there are few states like Punjab, Haryana, Andhra Pradesh, Uttar Pradesh and Chhattisgarh. Around 64% of the total storage capacity is located in or concentrated in these states alone. And after that, the maximum buffer norms not specified. Okay, so there are a maximum or minimum buffer norms that have to be specified. So when the maximum buffer norms are not specified by the government or through any legislation, that creates some sort of a confusion and even results in inability in procurement and distribution of food grains. So after that, we need to talk about the national nutrition aspect as well. Yes, we have been providing food grains to every eligible beneficiary. However, the benefits will not be provided, the nutrition will not be given to the eligible beneficiaries. Okay, so even though food grains are provided for these beneficiaries, the food grains will not be sufficient in providing the necessary nutrition. So therefore it results in malnutrition, stunting, wasting, so etc. So therefore this aspect should also be taken into consideration when it comes to the food distribution system. So after that, we need to talk about the other dimension, that how can public distribution system in India can be made more effective and transparent. So how can we make it more effective and more transparent? So we can follow the Odisha model. So Odisha model is generally considered as an ideal model of operation in the public distribution system. Okay, so because it is one of the more effective and transparent model of the public distribution system. Okay, so it has overhauled the entire public distribution system. So therefore, the Odisha experience usually shows that the public distribution system can play a pivotal role in bringing convergence and making India two most important missions, for example, food and nutrition security, are most successful. Now, what is the Odisha success story or the Odisha model of the public distribution system? Now, in answers, you can write these case studies. Okay, so these case studies will further enrich your answers, strengthen your answers. So, first case study, the first point is a PDS coverage, the public distribution system coverage. So the coverage has been expanded, more and more people are covered, and the grains are also priced at a lower cost. So therefore, the entitlements were further simplified and rationalized. So this is the first aspect of the Odisha model of public distribution system. Secondly, so the outlets that were set up in the Odisha model, they were largely managed by the community. For example, non-governmental organizations and self-help groups, and even the panchayat themselves managing these outlets. So therefore, it has ensured that the management of these public distribution systems are in participatory manner, and transparency in delivery of these food grains is possible. So after that, the entire distribution system was computerized. So what happens with the computerization of the distribution system is that it reduces leakages, it reduces the diversion of these food grains, and it also ensures that the food grains are provided only to these eligible beneficiaries. Okay, so this is the benefit and the advantage of the computerization of the distribution system. So after that, the movement of food grains from the warehouses to fair price shops were also regularly monitored and tracked. So this ensures that there will be no leakages and there will be no diversions. For that, they have used a technology called GPS system. The weighing scales were also digitized further, and transport agencies were separated from the distribution agencies. So there's a no link between transport agencies and distribution agencies. So both are separate, and fixed distribution schedules were also introduced in the Odisha model. So therefore, we can call it that Odisha model of public distribution system is a comprehensive overhaul of the system, and that further strengthened with the comprehensive grievance redressal mechanism for the people. So therefore, this Odisha model should be followed to further strengthen or to make the public distribution system more effective and transparent. So however, along with Odisha, there are a few other states who have brought a lot of reforms into the public distribution system. For example, Tamil Nadu, Rajasthan, Chhattisgarh, Madhya Pradesh, Telangana, and Gujarat. So these states also have intensified or brought several reforms into the public distribution system. For example, the measures include they have used latest technologies like GPS trackers in the vehicles which are carrying the food grains, and they have also ensured the community participation in successful implementation of the public distribution system. So apart from that, they have taken several other measures like computerization of offtake of food grains, recording of food procurement, storage and distribution, installation of electronic point of sale in fair price shops. Now installation of electronic point of sale machines in every price shops, fair price shop is become a normal, so that it prevents the deduplication. It prevents deduplication, and even it also prevents the ghost beneficiaries. Okay, so therefore, in this context, the digitization of beneficiaries database and verification of their identities through Aadhaar have resulted in scrapping of over 23 million fake ration cards, and that is an important aspect of deduplication and even eliminating ghost beneficiaries. So that ultimately saved around 14,000 crore annually on food subsidy. So after that, in conclusion, while writing conclusion for this answer, you just have to write about the significance of the public distribution system. So the rights-based framework under National Food Security Act. So what does this rights-based entitlement means. Providing food grain or receiving food grain entitlement is actually a right of the beneficiary under the National Food Security Act. So under National Food Security Act, it is a legal entitlement to subsidize food grains to every beneficiary. So this has been benefiting around 75% of rural and 50% of the urban population. Okay, so the National Food Security Act has also made right to food is a justiciable legal right. So however, the main problem with the National Food Security Act is that it has freezed the number of beneficiaries. So even though the poverty levels have been increasing, and even though the number of population, the population number has also been increasing, the freezing of the number under the freezing of beneficiaries under the National Food Security Act has limited its effectiveness, limited its outreach to the eligible beneficiaries. So therefore, what it has been suggesting is that the scope of the National Food Security Act should be further extended to cover all eligible beneficiaries and the poor people, so that the coverage of the maximum coverage of PDS and universalization of PDS should be looked into by the government. So that is the essence of achieving food security and even achieving sustainable or substantial standards of nutrition among all the population in all the poor population in the country. Okay, so that's all for today, and tomorrow also we will be discussing few more questions. So thank you so much, and if you like the video, please like the video and subscribe to our YouTube channel. Thank you.